Everyone, everywhere needs to hear something to tame the terrible noise of the hidden snake inside. Worcester, Massachusetts was no different. You never knew when you were going to hear it. Like the song of the oriole with the power of Orpheus, when its melody struck your ear. Everyone suddenly felt calm. It didn't matter if you'd just lost your job, or your spouse had just walked out on you, or you dropped your wallet and forgot where it fell. The sound of his whistle brought sudden peace of mind. Calmness that broke the bad magic spell of a world gone wrong, of a world full of forsaken good, of a world drowning out its hopeful hearts with its hopeless noise. The Orpheus of Worcester, Massachusetts. You never knew where you were going to see him carrying his tune. Lincoln Street, Lincoln Plaza, Webster Square, Park Ave, Main Street, Holden, Shrewsbury, Kelly Square. I remember when I first heard his whistle, somewhere in Webster Square, like a loud bird with strong notes, loud and strong, clear and beautiful. Oh, yes, his tune, in my ear, as if from a bird on my windowsill, as happy as could be. Yes, the Orpheus of Worcester, Massachusetts, in his melody. The melody of his whistle, of his tune in the air, bringing sudden peace of mind, stillness of thoughts and calmness. I remember riding my bicycle and feeling upset about not doing well with Tallman Shoe's minor league baseball team. Another 2 innings at bat, another 2 strikeouts, another dropped ball in left field to help lose a baseball game on a losing team. I'd had a black pit inside of my stomach all morning, and I couldn't shake it. The pit of a rotten apple full of snake venom, sickness, sickened hopes and dreams. Ah, yes, and then I heard it, that lovely tune, a majestic melody, and I suddenly forgot all of that bad noise stirring up inside of my head, because all of it fled away and faded into his whistle. The Orpheus of Worcester, Massachusetts, his whistle, his tune, erasing the lingering applause of the opponent's bench, suddenly silenced in my head. Even my eyes were being removed from the final scoreboard and returning outward into the blue sky and springtime air, back out into the unfolding road in front of me, that unfolding road that we all call the future. And then I saw him walking the street, yes, that Orpheus of Worcester, Mass., and he was whistling away and waving, and all the angry faces were trying to get through the intersection, stopped, staring at him, angry faces and eyes impatient, suddenly transformed into smiling faces and happy eyes, as car windows kept rolling down and all sorts of people kept whistling back at him. Oh, yes, back at him, the Orpheus of Worcester, Massachusetts. That walking snake charmer of Wormtown woes. And the Worcester air was suddenly full of dozens of whistles coming from all directions. People on the sidewalks whistling. Yes, from behind the bank building I heard a whistle from beyond the Arby's sign, the Dunkin' Donuts front door, the Thunderbird Pizza neon, even from an old woman carrying grocery bags, a homeless man lifting his bottle up, a construction worker working a power pole, elevated up high, his wave mixing into the air of the Orpheus whistle, a bus driver waving from a bus stop. Once before, all these angry and impatient people were now all honking at the whistler, honking at him instead of each other. Oh yes, that Orpheus of Worcester, his tune, transforming us all from misery into happiness. I, too, began waving, but I couldn't manage a whistle back. By the time I got my lips wet, enough to carry a tune, the Orpheus of Worcester was gone, having turned a corner down a side street. And all the traffic was moving again, and all the horns started honking at each other again, as if all the joy had suddenly fled and disappeared in the shadows of that man, that Orpheus of Worcester. And I watched as the bus drove on by, and the homeless man took a swig, and the utility worker went back to work to get the traffic lights fixed again. And so suddenly it was all as if nothing had ever happened, except something had, yes. The Orpheus of Worcester, a break from the morning of winter woes within the whistler's peaceful serenade of Wormtown blues. The reprieve of spring, resounding its horn along with all the birds and bees in the noisy schoolyards, amongst the sounds of the first lawn-mower, and bicycle spokes churning windy air down the steep and rocky potholed stumps of Lovell Street, as I pedaled home with his tune in my ear, the tune of the Orpheus of Worcester, still lost in the peace of his whistle, that tune in my thoughts, taming all the snakes, those venomous snakes of the inner critics. Oh yes, I was lost in the peace of his whistle, lost in the wondrous curiosity of who that man was, that Orpheus of Worcester. Oh, who was he, to suddenly be able to calm my lingering despairs of yesterday's lost baseball scores, to losing another game. Oh, yes, the despairs of yesterday's losses always haunt us. I pedaled home down Lovell Street and turned right on June, not knowing who the whistler was. Later at home over supper, I asked my parents about this strange man who conjured up sudden joys and camaraderie in such a city where all was too often socially reserved, too often lost in woes. In the secrets of the Worcester air, I described the whistler as I remembered seeing him, very thin, middle-aged and walking about, with a raincoat on, about with his loud whistle, a tune that tamed snakes. I told them all about what had happened to the traffic, and how everybody suddenly seemed happy, and waved and started whistling back, and all anger was removed, and all misery in each eye, and there was waving joy in the air. "Oh, that's him, all right," said one of my parents. "The fox, the good old fox, the whistler." And so then I learned about him, that man known as Walter Barch, who walked 30 miles a day every day throughout Worcester, and whistled every step along the way, and he'd been doing it for 30 years or so. And my parents, too, used to see him in their childhood years as well. And he was said to always be whistling, even back then, so that no one would ever think he was sneaking up on them, so that no one would ever think that he had committed a crime, so that no one could ever accuse him of committing a crime, because someone would always be hearing that whistle, and someone would always know where he was by the constant, persistent sound of his lovely tune in the air, that harmless tune that brought joy and calmness, and knew how to tame snakes. And then I heard more rumors over time. Whenever I brought him up to someone, a new rumor, a new theory about who he was and where he'd come from. The Orpheus of Worcester. He was said to be a World War II veteran. Some thought he served prison time. Others said that he'd been sent to an institution. None of which such rumors I could confirm nor deny, but I always wondered, I was always curious, for I always knew how rumors were. Things to talk about, things to add, things to remove, things to take away. Always things for people to paint their own pictures with. Such are the rumors that one hears. Unlike that sound from the Orpheus of Worcester. Unlike that sound, never things to add or take away. My parents, yes, they said they used to see him walking around the city all the time, in their childhood years as well. They said he was harmless, friendly, always cheering up people with that whistle. They said I never needed to be afraid of him, that Orpheus of Worcester, nor his whistle. And so, after I'd first started venturing alone, out into the world as a young child in that Worcester air, I could inevitably come across that good old Orpheus of Worcester more than once. In fact, I'd see that whistler from time to time, that Orpheus of Worcester, always serenading the gloomy Worcester air with smiles and joy, conjuring out a sense of undying hope, undying within the soul of our city. Yes, the Orpheus of Worcester. Everyone around him was always caught within the joyous spell of his wandering aura, delivering a pause ever so brief from the relentless pursuits, replaced with a momentary peace in his whistle, in his tune, from wherever he was to be seen, the Orpheus of Worcester. Everyone in sight around him was always whistling back, waving, honking horns, and stopping whatever they were doing. Even the nearby birds would join in. You could see them from every nearby tree, glancing down at him. That whistle and his majestic spell-binding tune, always enchanting all of Worcester every day, enchanting, conjuring up a momentary peace whenever it was carried in the air, in the wind, always there, that good old lost Orpheus of Worcester, the one who could charm snakes and ease the anger for a moment and bring hopes from hopelessness, that good old lost Orpheus of Worcester, still remembered, though not around anymore. Though his tune is not in the air, he's still remembered. I still remember feeling a renewed hope from his tune, yes, that one that I heard.